let's be fair, let's have a look at the Coalition ad now, or one of them, and see if we think it's any better.
We live in the best country in the world. Right now, it's at a turning point. Too many are having to make sacrifices just to afford the weekly shop and pay their bills. This election is a choice about who can help Australians get ahead by managing our economy better. Australia can't afford to continue on its current path. Let's get our country back on track.
So, Rita and James, a good ad has a strong idea behind it. There's no really strong idea behind that. It could be a clip from anything, but it's not offensive and it's telling a message.
Well, look, it's telling a message, and, you know, I think it's good insofar as it goes, but I tell you what, they're really going to have to rev up, I think, talking about exactly what has gone wrong over the last 3 years. People feel like things are going wrong, but the ads, I think, and Rowan, you're the ad man, so you tell me, but I feel like these ads should really do more to crystallize really what has gone wrong here over the last 3 years. And it all comes down to the fact that Anthony Albanese, he is like, you know, practically a socialist. He's our first left faction prime minister, and everything that has happened since then has flowed from that. You know, remind people about The Voice and that they frittered away the first 12, 18 months of their government, messing around with that. Remind everybody about the actual stark terms in which food has gone up something like 30%, since this government.
This should be so simple to put together. That ad, and I'm sorry, it's inoffensive, but that's the best thing you can say about it. Yeah. It's also completely forgettable. It has no clear message. It has no slogan. And we should be above slogans, but we're not. You need to have a clear message, something that people can remember, because people don't live and breathe politics. They've got bills to pay, families to take care of. You've got to actually get through. And it's not too hard to have a very clear ad with arrows going up. How much has energy gone up? How much has your grocery bill gone up? How much have mortgages gone up during that term, with interest rates skyrocketing up? And just bring it home that the pain you're feeling is not just in your household, this is across the economy. They've got so much to work with. There is so much ammunition they have to articulate why things have gone wrong, rather than just giving this sort of broad message about
the key thing for me, there's three key figures for me. One is trillion. We're $1 trillion in debt. I never thought I would see that in my lifetime, James. There's 1 million, which is over 1 million migrant support into the country under Labor, and many more yet to come. And what do you get? So that's what you've lost. What have you got? A $5 tax cut. Ooh, wow. I mean, it's clear that the Labor government has failed on every single issue. It's not a hard story to tell.
Well, no, it's not. And, I think really Peter Dutton needs to urgently take a page out of Tony Abbott's playbook, because Tony Abbott, as opposition leader, was incredibly effective. He was incredibly effective at crystallizing exactly what was wrong and what they would do to stop the things that had gone wrong. Labor's got a great big green tax that is not just on your power bill, but it's on everything that you consume. It's your food, it's your power, it's everything that you consume. The $1 trillion debt, again, I don't even know, frankly, how clued into the deficit people are these days. I feel like that issue has come off. I think it's much more local. I think it's much more hip pocket sort of thing. So, it's the great big green tax on everything. It is the lack of anything about housing. And the big indictment, the biggest indictment of the Albanese government is that people no longer are convinced that their kids are going to have, or their grandkids are going to have, the same or a better life than they enjoyed. And that is the feeling that Peter Dutton needs to crystallize,
bring back
and
the Australian
bring home
dream.
And say, we are going to bring this back.
Which is kind of what Matt was talking about.
Well, with Tony Abbott, we still remember all these years later, Stop the boats.
Yeah, exactly.
And the carbon tax. Yeah. They were the slogans. They were the clear messages. They were election promises, and they happened. So these shouldn't just be cheap slogans. They should actually be policies that are then implemented. But it's easy to paint a picture. Have an ad where every time someone goes to pay for something, Albo and Adam Bandt are taking a bit of that money out of their pocket for all the taxes, all the regulation, the way we are over-regulated and businesses are stifled. You can paint a picture very clearly in 15 to 20 seconds without having someone doing a monologue to camera like that.
But you also have, James, you also have issues like the reason you mentioned, we discussed the Kamala Harris ad with Trump, is because it crystallised. It was one idea which crystallised everything that was wrong.
Yeah.
Which is a cultural issue. In Australia, the cultural issue, which the coalition have already won, was the voice. Every day we should see Peter Dutton and Jacinta Price out there attacking all this waste of money in Indigenous affairs, all this nonsense First Nations ambassadors and all of that sort of stuff. That's where they can be attacking and standing up for the Australia of one equal Australia.
Can I make one other suggestion too here? We talked about that protester before and what he was talking about the housing. This is how they should actually be talking. They should be saying, Labor is not for you. Labor is not for your kids. They are for bringing in people who will vote for them and staying in power forever. Do you want that? But the other point I'd make, too, just on the Tony Abbott stuff, you remember how absolutely furious the ABC and the Herald and the Age were at him every day. And I think, Peter Dutton should wake up every morning and he should look at the headlines on the ABC and the Herald and the Age. And if they are not furious with him, then he needs to have a big spray at his visor and say, let's get them angry because they're the ones we want angry because they're not voting for us anyway.